before we step into the darkness, do one thing for me. Hit subscribe, crush the like button, and drop a comment if you're ready to survive a story the system tried to bury. The sirens cut through the desert night like blades. Red and blue lights exploded across the razor-wire Blackridge Correctional Complex, one of Australia's most feared maximum security prisons. Guards were already running when the alarm screamed. Code black. Inmate down. Possible homicide. In the exercise yard, beneath floodlights that never blinked, a body lay twisted against the concrete. Blood crept into the dust like ink soaking into paper. Prisoners were forced flat on the ground, hands behind their heads, boots crunching inches from their faces. The dead man's name was Evan Calder, 32 years old, former financial crimes analyst, no history of violence, sentenced to 6 years for insider trading. And now, at 2:17 a.m., he was dead in a place designed to keep people alive long enough to rot. But something about the scene didn't fit. Detective Mara Kincaid arrived before sunrise. She'd spent 14 years hunting criminals across Sydney, Melbourne, and the outback towns no one bothered mapping. Blackridge was different. This place didn't just hold criminals. It manufactured silence. She stepped past the gates, the steel doors slamming behind her like the closing of a coffin. Calder's body was still in the yard. His face was swollen, one eye half open, staring at nothing. Bruises marked his ribs, but there was no defensive damage on his hands. No signs of a wild fight. Someone had controlled him, then ended him. The prison governor, Richard Halvorson, stood nearby, jaw tight. Looks like inmate violence, he said. Happens. Mara crouched beside the corpse, her eyes locked on Calder's neck. A thin red line circled his throat. Not strangulation. A wire. Who was he with last night? She asked. Halvorson hesitated. Yard cameras glitched. We lost 5 minutes of footage. Mara stood slowly. 5 missing minutes in a maximum security prison didn't happen by accident. Inside Calder's pocket, crime scene officers found something worse. A folded scrap of toilet paper. 3 words written shaky and rushed. The system kills. By midday, the story was already being softened. Prison officials whispered overdose. Fights. Bad influences. Anything except murder. Mara didn't buy it. She pulled Calder's file. Before prison, Evan Calder worked for a major banking firm in Brisbane. He specialized in tracking illegal financial flows, corporate laundering, offshore shell companies, government corruption. Then suddenly he was arrested himself. Insider trading. Clean conviction. Fast sentence. No appeal. Too clean. Mara requested Calder's visitor logs. Most inmates at Blackridge had families, lawyers, old friends. Calder had almost no one, except one name. Lucas Reeve, inmate, former corrections officer turned prisoner after a corruption scandal. Reeve now served 10 years inside the same system he once enforced. Mara found Reeve in a cafeteria, sitting alone, scars mapping his knuckles like broken highways. His eyes never stopped moving. You knew Evan Calder, Mara said. Reeve didn't look up. Knew of him. He died last night. That made Reeve pause. Funny, he muttered. Took them long enough. Mara leaned closer. Took who? Reeve finally met her eyes. The prison isn't run by guards, he said quietly. It's run by deals. And Evan broke one. What deal? Reeve smirked without humor. He was collecting secrets. According to Reeve, Calder had been quietly interviewing inmates, financial criminals, gang leaders, even corrupt staff. He wasn't trying to survive prison. He was mapping it. He said Blackridge was a warehouse for people who knew too much. Reeve continued. Drug routes, money pipelines, government contracts, guards on payroll. He wrote everything down. Mara felt her pulse tighten. Where are his notes? Reeve swallowed. He hid them. Before Mara could ask where, alarms blared again. Another lockdown. Guards rushed past the cafeteria doors. A correctional officer burst in. Detective, Calder's cell. You need to see this. Inside cell block D, Calder's bunk was stripped bare. Mattress ripped open. Concrete chipped. Someone had searched it violently. But they missed something. Behind the sink, investigators found a loose tile. Inside was a flash drive wrapped in plastic, soaked in blood that wasn't Calder's. Mara plugged it into her laptop. The screen filled with folders, audio recordings, photos, financial spreadsheets, guard rosters, prison transfer schedules, and one file marked in red, Blackridge Network. Before she could open it, a message autoplayed. Calder's voice, shaky, whispering into a hidden recorder. If you're hearing this, I didn't make it out. Blackridge isn't a prison. It's a launder machine for criminals wearing uniforms. And the people running it won't stop with me. Then the final sentence. They already put a price on the next name. The screen froze. Mara's phone vibrated. An unknown number. One text message. Stop digging, or you'll join him. But what terrified her most wasn't the threat. It was the last line of Calder's file directory, a name she recognized instantly, because buried inside Evan Calder's secrets was her own. Detective Mara Kincaid didn't sleep that night. The flash drive burned in her laptop, each file another doorway into a world she had only glimpsed in nightmares. Blackridge Correctional Complex wasn't just a prison. It was a machine. And Calder had been the first person brave enough or foolish enough to map its gears. The next morning, Mara returned to the yard, walking under the unforgiving sun. Inmates were lined up for roll call, their eyes tracking every movement of guards and strangers alike. Mara noticed subtle shifts, furtive glances, fingers brushing each other like coded signals, silent hierarchies in motion. She spotted Lucas Reeve again, leaning against the metal fencing. His smirk was gone. His face was pale, tight. They're onto the flash drive, he said, without preamble. By now, half the guards have seen Calder's files. Some want to bury it. Others will profit. Who's leading it? Mara asked. Reeve's eyes darkened. There's a man they call the warden, but that's a title. The real power? The one making the deals, setting the rules, pulling the strings from behind closed doors. He doesn't appear on any chart. Doesn't answer to the governor. Blackridge has layers. Most people don't survive past the second one. Mara's stomach tightened. If Calder's death was the first layer, she was already stepping into the second. Her first move was to track the movement of the files themselves. The flash drive revealed names, accounts, and secret transactions, but more disturbingly, it hinted at other prisoners marked for elimination. It was a death list, and the names weren't random. They were people who knew too much, people who could threaten the hidden economy Calder had uncovered. Mara realized she couldn't trust anyone inside. Not the guards, not Reeve, not even the governor. But she did have one advantage. The system underestimated her. Her investigation led her to Cell Block F, a section of Blackridge few outsiders saw. The block had no official cameras, no recorded logs, an off-the-books holding zone for problematic inmates. Rumors whispered that if you entered F, you either left broken or never left at all. Mara needed to go there. She convinced Halvorsen to grant her temporary clearance under the guise of a routine inspection. Inside, the air was thick with sweat, fear, and something foul that she couldn't name. The walls were scratched with messages, names, dates, warnings. She ran her fingers over one set of letters. Don't trust the light. The system watches through shadows. The first inmate she questioned was Derek Maddox, a former cartel accountant. His eyes darted around nervously, and Mara noticed a small tremor in his right hand. Fear or warning? They killed him because he listened too much, Maddox whispered, barely audible over the hum of fluorescent lights. Calder, he tried to save people. That's why he's dead. But you shouldn't be here. Who was behind it? Mara pressed. Derek's lips parted like he wanted to speak, then snapped shut. Finally, he hissed, the system isn't just guards and inmates. The system is everyone who benefits from it. Politicians, bankers, ex-law enforcement. Blackridge is the hub. Everything else is a branch. Mara's head spun. This wasn't just a prison killing. It was a network, a hidden criminal enterprise protected by law, cloaked in legitimacy. Calder had stumbled onto it. Now she had, too. Suddenly, a commotion erupted at the far end of the block. Mara turned to see a man, prisoner or guard. She couldn't tell, wrestled to the ground. A knife flashed. Another scream. Before she could react, someone grabbed her from behind. It was Reeve. "They know you're looking at the flash drive," he hissed. "We need to move. Now." They ran through service corridors, past stacks of crates, maintenance rooms, and locked doors. Every shadow seemed alive. Every footstep echoed like a warning. Finally, they reached the stairwell leading to the roof. Mara caught a glimpse of the yard below. Guards running, shouting, prisoners ducking. Something big was happening. Something orchestrated to distract her. Reeve pressed against the door at the top of the stairwell, his hand trembling. "If we go out there," he trailed off. Mara knew he meant the roof exit. It was exposed, dangerous. They'd have to cross the open yard, under cameras, under eyes they didn't even know existed. Then she noticed a message scrawled on the concrete ledge. "Everyone is wanted. No one is safe." Her heart raced. Calder hadn't just died. He had left breadcrumbs for someone willing to follow. And Mara was the only one left standing in that trail. Reeve looked at her, fear and respect mingling. "You don't understand. The next person on that list is someone in this building, someone high up, someone you trust." Mara's phone vibrated again. Another unknown number. Another text. "You're next." The building shook suddenly. A siren inside the block, metal doors slamming shut. Smoke from the kitchen vents filled the hall. Someone was setting a trap, and she had just walked into it. They ran toward a side exit Mara had memorized from the blueprints, but the door was jammed. Behind her, Reeve cursed. Footsteps approached, fast, coordinated, no hesitation. And then she saw him, a shadow at the edge of the smoke, moving with deliberate, predatory calm. A man she knew too well from Calder's files. The one who had survived every audit, every investigation, every scandal. The warden. And he was smiling. The smoke swirled around Mara like a living thing, acrid and suffocating. The shadowy figure at the edge of the stairwell didn't move like a man. It moved like a predator who had already calculated every escape route. The warden had arrived. Mara's mind raced. Every instinct screamed to run. But the files, Calder's warning, Reeve's trembling guidance, they demanded she stay. This was the confrontation she had been running toward since the first siren in the yard. "You shouldn't be here," the warden's voice cut through the haze. Calm, controlled, deadly. "People like you don't survive the system. Not fully." "I'm not leaving," Mara said, her hand brushing against her service weapon. But she didn't draw it. Not yet. The warden's power wasn't in guns. It was in control. And she knew it. He stepped closer. The smoke made him look taller, almost unreal. "Evan Calder thought he could expose us. Did you read his files?" "I did," Mara replied, keeping her voice steady. "I know everything. Blackridge isn't just a prison. It's a network, and you're at the center." The warden laughed softly, a sound that cut through the smoke like glass. "Do you know why Calder died?" Mara's stomach tightened. She had her suspicions, but hearing it from him was different, because he broke the rules. Not the laws, the rules. Secrets are currency in here, detective. He tried to take what wasn't his to take. And now, you're standing on the same path. Reeve stepped forward, but the warden's gaze snapped to him. One look, and Reeve froze. "You helped him," the warden said, voice like ice. "You're lucky I'm feeling generous tonight." Suddenly, alarms rang through the block, this time different, more urgent. The warden didn't flinch. Instead, he moved with precision, opening a small panel Mara hadn't noticed. Inside were control levers, monitors, buttons. He controlled more than she had imagined. Doors clicked, locks disengaged. "This place isn't a prison," he said, almost proudly. "It's a hive. Every guard, every inmate, every transaction, every threat, all flows through me. You think exposing it matters? It doesn't. Not unless you're willing to pay the price." Mara realized the truth hit harder than a bullet. Calder hadn't just uncovered corruption. He had exposed a machine where every layer was protected by fear, influence, and calculated silence. And now the warden was deciding whether she would be a casualty or a pawn. Then Reeve moved, in a sudden burst. He lunged at the warden, but the man was ready. A single motion, and Reeve was thrown against the wall. Hard, groaning, blood trickling from his temple. Mara's breath caught. She had seconds to act. She grabbed the nearest fire extinguisher and swung. The warden deflected it like a trained fighter and advanced, calm as ever. Every second in the stairwell became an eternity. The smoke, the fire alarms, the shouting, everything blurred. Then Mara remembered Calder's final clue, the hidden cameras in the block. If she could trigger them, someone outside would see the warden's movements. She reached for the wall panel, fingers trembling. Click, a small light blinked. She had control of one camera, just one. The warden paused, noticing her movement. For the first time, his calm faltered. "You think a camera matters?" he sneered. "It does," Mara said, voice rising. "Because someone knows everything now, and I'm taking it with me." The warden charged. Mara ducked, kicking him back into the stairwell railing. Sparks flew as metal collided. She ran toward the emergency ladder, leading to the roof, and yanked Reeve up after her. Once outside, the desert air hit like a punch. The moon was full, casting long shadows across the razor wire. But the warden wasn't finished. From the stairwell, he raised a hand and shouted, "This isn't over." Mara froze for a second, then realized he wasn't alone. Through the yard, guards and inmates aligned, not attacking her, but observing, waiting for instructions. The warden's reach extended far beyond the prison walls. The flash drive in her pocket felt heavier than ever. Calder's recordings of files, the names, they were weapons. And now, they were the only thing keeping her alive. Weeks later, authorities claimed Calder's death was inmate violence. Nothing more. Reeve vanished into another block under mysterious circumstances. The warden? Officially, he didn't exist. Yet every time Mara closed her eyes, she felt him watching, from the shadows, from within the system he had built. And then, 3 months later, a new inmate was found dead in the same yard. A small scrap of paper was pinned to their chest. The system is always watching. Mara stared at the words, heart racing. Blackridge had survived another chapter, but the real horror? She knew the story wasn't over. Not by a long shot, because the system never dies. And sometimes neither do its ghosts. If you think this story was intense, you're not ready for the next one. Hit subscribe, stay alert, and remember, some prisons aren't designed to keep people in. They're designed to keep secrets buried.